So it's been about 6 or so months since we started making videos on YouTube, and for a majority of the time, the intro video was the one about Ringo Ishikawa. And while that's a perfectly good video, in fact one of my favorite videos on the channel, I think it's time to have a video that's more fitting of an intro video, something that gives an idea to new viewers and even old ones of what Stunt Club Soda is all about. A video that is not only interesting, but also a good introduction to the channel. So why not talk about something I came up with while staring aimlessly at the ceiling, video game intros, because that's not dumb at all. First of all, I should probably clarify a little bit because there are actually two different types of intros. I mean, people use the term intros interchangeably when it comes to games, but in my opinion, there's a fundamental difference between the two. There's the intro to the game, and by that, I mean the one that happens when you actually get into the game, beyond pressing new game or hitting start. You know, it could be the prologue, the opening chapter, or maybe the whole game if you're Far Cry 4. It's the first bit of gameplay that you as the player get to experience. Honestly, it's probably the biggest factor in determining if someone's going to keep playing the game or not. It's the hook, and it's also not what I'm going to be talking about this video. I'm here to talk about the part that plays when you let the opening bits run, after the screens that show you who made the game. That's right, it's the intro of the intro. It comes in different forms, ranging from the ones that are mostly there to hype you up, to the ones that give some backstory that might not have been able to fit into the narrative. And this type of intro has an important place in the game as it's the first thing that players see when they actually boot it up. So let's talk about it. First off, all of these intros are here to kind of give you an idea of what kind of game you're getting into, which is probably why these intros find their way into trailers sometimes. It's a good representation of the tone and gives a sense of what kind of setting you're getting into. Of course, some games give spoilers when they do this, but I'll save that for another discussion. Think about it like this. No matter the type of intro it is, it gives players a first look into what they're in store for, which is invaluable. No one likes walking into things blind, unless you're blind, and I'm sorry, I guess you're kind of used to it. Now it's time to get a little specific, starting off with the ones that are there to hype you up. The best way I can describe these intros are as anime openings that are made for video games. They serve basically the same purpose of getting the person excited to play the game or watch the anime. Of course, you also skip it after the first time and come back to it once you finish the main content, just to see it with a new perspective. They tend to use footage from the game or cutscenes or just reenactments of what's to come. Of course, the biggest problem with this is that it tells you what's coming, which can get you excited to get to that part or disappoint you because the surprise is ruined. Funnily enough, it's usually the anime games that tend to do this the most. Actually, the Tales of series implement this in all of their games. I mean, the Tales of Abyss intro is just so memorable. But of course, not anime games do this as well. Alright, the next type of intro is far more common, which kind of surprised me when I actually started looking at them, and it's the intro that provides contextual insight about the game you're playing. It could be just showing you what happened right before the game started, like Dead Island, or it can give you the lore of the world, like what The Witcher 3 does. These are here because it wants to give the players information about the game in some way, but it's not in the main game for one reason or another, whether it be because it might have ruined immersion or it would have broken up the gameplay loop too hard. And I have a couple examples. In Dark Souls, the intro gives players information about the world and who the big bosses are, but if you stuck that into the middle of the game, like when you place the Lord Vessel, it will feel out of place and disjointed. On the far other side, you have arcade games which absolutely have these types of intros. They usually give you a quick story or blurb about why you're about to beat up a lot of people and then just set you off to, you guessed it, beat up a disgusting amount of people. Can you imagine how off-putting it would be if that same blurb happened after you beat a level or something? It would take too long and you probably just skip it, like the cutscenes in Time Crisis. Plus, you could watch the intro before you play so you can actually decide if you want to play it or not, which hopefully doesn't backfire or anything. And of course, we have the in-between. Sure, while having the lore or context can make you hype for a game, it's the ones that blend them together that do the best job at creating excitement for the game about to be played. And here's where I go on my mini rant about rage. The intro of that game is nothing short of amazing. It perfectly sets up the world you're about to jump into setting-wise with the narration and music used. It creates suspense and makes the soon-to-be player want to see what has become of a world hit by a meteor. It's short and sweet, and should honestly be a glowing example of how to make a great intro that hooks the viewer into the game, which is why it's such a shame that it's wasted on such a completely average game like Rage. Usually average is not that bad, but it is when it's completely forgettable. The only reason people remember this game is because the new one's coming out. I still don't know why they're making that, but let's just hope it's far better than the original. And even saying all that, the intro still makes me want to play it again and give it another shot. Anyway, back to the topic at hand, the key to these blended intros are the use of music. Music can touch us in a way that visuals or narrations can't do on their own. And sure, while there is music in the lore ones, I feel it has a bigger impact here because it's not only telling a story or setting the backdrop, it wants to stir up emotions and drive the player forward, which is better than driving off a cliff, I'm told. So there you have it, our channel intro video about video game intros. Isn't that just wonderful? What's your guys' favorite intro? Let me know in the comments down below, but for now, I'll see you later. Have a good day.